Hello YouTubers, this is cessnaace back again with another video. I bet you didn't expect to see me so soon after the video I posted last night. However, in that video, the one that I posted last night, where I showed games that I had received from Good Deal Games, I did mention that I was going to be recording and posting a follow-up video the following night, where I'd be doing a little mini review for each of those games, and this is that video. Now, I had toyed briefly with doing this video in a black Panther cap, Marvel. But I quickly came to the conclusion that I look goofy in this cap, so no. Now I have other such caps with Sonic on them and Captain America, but I've never seen myself in them, which is probably a good thing. Now, all four of these games were programmed for use with an Atari VCS or 2600 joystick controller. With all such games, I use a Sega Genesis gamepad controller for two reasons. One, they're hardware compatible, and two, I no longer have any working joystick controllers, which is something I need to remedy. I also need to replace my paddle controllers because all of them went bad too. I know what you're thinking. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Get on with it. This first one, Asteroid Rescue, originally was released in 2018, was programmed by Ross Adkin. Now, it starts off rather slowly, but then it speeds up rather quickly after about 3 or 4 seconds. Now, this is one of the games that did not come with a printed manual. I had to download the manual for this game into Doxyllin. It would not download properly into Notepad because, well, the text would, but it would all be bunched together in one massive paragraph. And because the manual has graphics in it, where the graphics were supposed to be, there would be a jumbled mess of various characters, ampersands and asterisks and dashes and plus signs and numbers and letters, and it's just a mess. But in Doxyllin, it's fine. Now, I purposely avoided the giant red letter S's, which will give you a boost of more speed, so I don't need. So I spent my time rescuing the stranded astronauts that were on the asteroids, as well as picking up fuel pods. And I was getting better at this game the longer I played it. So more practice, I probably will get to be at least acceptable on this game. Asteroid Rescue. All right. Now, this next one is called Bomb on Pixel City. Now, the manual states, somewhere in 2012, once upon a time on a retro gaming forum, someone made an iOS game. The game was a tribute to the VCS, using the same type of large pixel graphics. Along came a French guy who said, "I know VCS programming," and they all famously said, "Show me." So he did. He made this game. Bomb on Pixel City. Now, as I was showing this game in my previous video, I mentioned that the way you play it seemed to be similar to another homebrew that I have on a multi-cart, and I believe that the name of that game was Naughty List, and it turns out I was correct. It's on this multi-cart, The Bite Before Christmas, which is still available at Atari Age. Copyright 2011 by their respective authors, because the 4 games on here were each programmed by someone different. Anyway, Naughty List is the game that Bomb on Pixel City reminds me of. That's not in focus. Oh, this game, Bellhopper. I have the world record for that game at highscore.com. It uses a paddle controller, however, so I haven't been able to play it in a while. Now, this is a really fun game. I do really enjoy this game. In fact, I probably spent more time playing this game than any of these other games. Now, I mentioned that, let's see, you couldn't bomb what looked like heliports. That building in the center there. That's actually a hospital. If you can make it out with this wonky focus, there's a giant H there. So you can't bomb a hospital. Now, buildings like that in later levels begin to shoot at you. You can't control your speed. You can speed up and slow down. One reason is to avoid those birds. You hit a bird and your plane crashes. But you do start off with 3, and I don't know if you can earn more. I never have, but I was getting a higher and higher score each time I played it. Now, let's see. So far, those smaller structures haven't presented a problem. I just bombed them. However, the third one from the left, well, to my left, whatever, it is like an anti-aircraft battery, and it shoots up. But if all you have to do is drop one bomb on it, and it'll stop shooting. And then you can proceed to take it out. A really, really fun game. Available in NTSC, PAL, or CCAM. Please specify when ordering. Highly recommend Bomb on Pixel City. I love that game. Okay, I have a surprise at the end of this video. I didn't already mention that. Okay, next comes the other game that did not have a printed manual. Kung Fu Combat. Now, this is the one that he shipped to me, even though I haven't paid for it yet. I will pay for it in about 2 weeks. But Michael was really cool about that because it was debuting at the Gorgs trade show this past weekend. And so it wasn't out yet. In fact, it wasn't on the site yet. It is now. Kung Fu Combat. Now, this isn't a bad game. The thing is, it says 1 or 2 players. I would imagine it'd be more fun to play another person as opposed to the CPU. But this is a much better game than what came out. There was a boxing game for either the 2600 or the 7800. I think it was from Froggo Games. Horrendous. This is a much better fighting game, and it's on the 2600. 2019, programmed by Edward Smith. Alright, like I said, it's on the site at Good Deal Games / Homebrew Heaven. Now, I have received another email from Michael at Good Deal Games, but he still didn't. He said he watched the video, but he didn't tell me what this was. He did say he liked the video, though. I don't know why I brought that business card along that he included in the package. This is only my second order from Good Deal Games, and he included one of those in the previous order also, which I have in my wallet just in case I lost it, because since I was a child I haven't lost my wallet. Now this game wasn't originally meant for the 2600 depth charge. I'm trying to remember what it was originally meant to be for. This was originally planned as a pack-in cassette game for Amiga's Power Module peripheral. The game was billed as the first machine interactive video game offering head-to-head play, with one player the commander, submarine commander, and the other destroyer commander. Each player would have had their own screen display and set of commands. The power module was dropped in favor of the power play carts, and the game's development only went as far as this version. Gameplay is similar to Seawolf, which it is. And Seawolf is very similar to the Sega arcade, electromechanical arcade game from the late 60s, Periscope, which I used to play all the time as a kid. Every time I went into a bowling alley, I would see Periscope, and I would play it, and that was a massive hit for Sega. Anyway, yes, it's reminiscent of Seawolf. Now, I generally don't read the manual before I play a game. I only read the manual if I get stuck. Now, I wasn't having much luck with this game because you'd fire your torpedoes, and there are variations to the game on how many torpedoes you have and so forth. Each time I shot a torpedo, it would be shot, at a different part of the screen. And then I discovered, quite by accident, that if I held down the B button on my Sega gamepad controller, if I hold down that button, it would call up and freeze the crosshairs of the periscope, so I could wait for the ship to come in range, and then I would release the button, and it would send out 2 torpedoes. And if I timed it correctly, those torpedoes would make contact with the ship. It is a good game. It's just that I wanted to get back to Bomb on Pixel City. It is what it's called, isn't it? Bomb on Pixel City. Thought so. Okay, now I need to get to the surprise before I expire. Oh, and Larry Bundy Jr., aka Guru Larry, asked me my thoughts on these style of cases. I mentioned in the previous video that I have a couple of Sega Master System homebrews that use this same style of case, and as I mentioned to Larry, I do prefer a more authentic style box such as this over a plastic case, but if it comes to a plastic case or a loose cart, I'll take the plastic case. Now, this takes me back to my childhood. I'm not going to cover my childhood, but in the 1960s, when I was growing up and traveling across the country, we did a lot of traveling, not just in this country, but in Canada, and when we lived in Europe, all over Europe and Scandinavia. But in America, when we traveled, I would come across, whenever we would go into a supermarket or a truck stop or anything like that, these baggies full of not games, comic books, 4 per bag. You could see one on one side, and on the opposite side, facing out, was another comic, but you couldn't see the ones in the middle. Now, the company that had the most success doing this was Western Publishing Company, who until a few years ago owned Little Golden Book. You know, those Little Golden Books. I collect those too. Anyway, they had 2 comic book imprints, Gold Key and Whitman, and they would package their comics in bags like this and put them out, because fewer and fewer retailers were willing to stock comic books because they were becoming ragged and torn. You know, people going through the racks and everything, they get messed up, and they just weren't willing to pay for them. And so somebody at, I believe Marvel might have been the first to experiment with it, but they gave it up, and Gold Key started doing it. Well, Western Publishing, and DC started doing it, and then Marvel had Western Publishing distribute Marvel comics that way, and Harvey did it. A lot of publishers did it, and it was really cool. Well, I have about 50 of these. I started coming across them last year. That's the one on one side with a cover price of $1.25, I believe. Yes. On the other side is a comic from Dark Horse Comics with a cover price of $2.95. Obviously not from the same era, not even from the same publisher. Back when this was common, they would be from the same publisher. But I thought I would go ahead and open this one. I've never opened any of these, and if you would like to see me open any more, let me know. Or if you would like to see my comic book collection in general, let me know. Those boxes that hold about 150 comics each, I have roughly 15, maybe even 18 of those boxes. Some of them are Gold Keys and Whitmans and Charltons. And Charlton was another one. Charlton Publications that did that. They had another imprint, Modern Comics, which would more often show up in those baggies, but Charlton's did too. Okay. So we have number 1 of 4, Star Wars Jedi Council from Dark Horse. And, ooh, look, coming July 16th. No, that would be June 16th, 2000. Titan AE. These are in mint condition. June 2000 is when this came out. Okay. Next up, we have a comic from Image. I used to have, I probably still do, a large collection of comics from Image, and Now Comics, and First Comics, and Pacific Comics, and because I got major into the independents. This is issue 1 of Young Blood Strike File. And if you do this, you have a different cover. No publishers got into doing alternate covers. There are some comics that I have 2 or 3 different covers for, but I've never seen that before, where one cover on one side and another cover on the other. List price, or cover price, $2.50. April 1993. First printing. Okay, what is this? Upside down. From Image, issue 0 of Cyberforce 0. Cover price $1.95, $2.45 in Canada. And I'm not going to spend too much time if I can't find it right away. And I can't find it right away when it was released. Just opening them up at random. I have a lot of comics that were typically only available as digital copies, but if you paid extra, you could get a printed copy, and I did. Okay. This is The Uncanny X-Men, issue 306, and the last one in that bag. Last comic in that bag. Ooh, look, an LCD game. This is a direct edition, which means it was meant for a comic book shop. It says November 1993. From Tiger Electronics, the LCD game. Okay. That's going to do it for me for this video. I would like to thank my Patreon supporters. That would be Alex's Playing, and Sky Mall, and Mark McElligott. Until next time, stay awesome.